Hampton Sides is a journalist, author, and historian who makes his home in Santa Fe. His most recent book is On Desperate Ground: The Marines at the Reservoir, the Korean War's Greatest Battle. Correspondent Megan Kamerick sits down with Hampton Sides to talk about lessons to be learned from that terrible battle and why the Korean War should not be forgotten.
Hampton Sides, thank you for joining us on New Mexico in Focus.
Good to be here.
The Korean War is often considered the forgotten war. For many people, this is a battle they probably never knew about, let alone forgot. Why is what happened at the Chosin Reservoir in North Korea worth remembering?
Well, I mean, all of it is worth remembering. I don't know why it's a forgotten war. There's lots of reasons why. It's kind of an asterisk or a kind of an also ran or something sandwiched between World War II and Vietnam. But there it is. Apart from endless reruns of MASH, it doesn't seem to be very much on the national consciousness. But of all the battles in the Korean War, the Battle of Chosin Reservoir, which is the subject of my book, is just the most dramatic, and it's the most pivotal and the most decisive of all the battles. It has just this incredible kind of cast of characters from the top on down to the grunts who were fighting the battle. You got MacArthur, you got Mao, you got Stalin, you got Truman back in Washington. All these men in this sort of tragic play of events end up putting these men, the men of the 1st Marine Division, in harm's way in this impossible place beside the frozen shores of a lake in the mountain wilds of North Korea, which is the setting for this battle.
It was really brutal. I mean, you brought up the winter. I mean, it could get to like 70 below zero some of the nights they were fighting.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of why it's such an amazing and dramatic battle is the conditions under which it was fought. The terrain, impossible terrain to fight in, and the cold, especially the cold. It was the third combatant. Really, it was the Red Chinese soldiers of Mao versus the Marines, and then this third combatant, Old Man Winter. And it was, it was 35 below zero, but then there's the wind chill factor. It was just this constant presence, and it just took the breath out of these men. It shut down the vehicles. The weapons wouldn't fire sometimes, and the grenades wouldn't detonate. And, men were clearly freezing to death. And 85% of the Marines suffered some form of frostbite, permanent neuropathies, and other kinds of damage that they still suffer from all these years later.
The work you do, nonfiction writing, is truly a form of journalism, and we're in an age right now of fake news and distrust in journalists. Do you feel any of that in the work that you do?
Well, no, I mean, I'm still kind of old school. I just run down facts the old-fashioned way. Did it happen? What are the sources? Fact check everything. There were, in this story, some master practitioners of fake news, starting with Stalin and the man who he trained, Kim Il-sung, the great leader of North Korea, who figures into the story a little bit. He was a master of fake news and huge billboards and all kinds of mythology that he put out about himself. This whole dynasty of the Kims, now we have the grandson, what do we call him, Rocket Man, who puts out this unbelievable propaganda about himself. They say that every time they play golf, it's a hole-in-one. It's said that the Kim family they don't defecate.
They say that? That's part of the propaganda.
Literal, biological functions that, we all have don't apply to them, all kinds of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, there is some fake news emanating out of, and various forms of propaganda emanating out of North Korea in my story. Then there's MacArthur, who was certainly a master of a kind of fake news, a kind of propaganda, and sorting through what he was saying versus what we knew to be true on the ground in this battlefield is one of the interesting tensions of the book.
Why is it important for journalists as well as nonfiction authors like yourself to continue to do this kind of work, to tell these stories, even when they put highly revered figures like Douglas MacArthur in a potentially bad light?
Well, I mean, I guess ultimately truth never goes out of style. I mean, it's there's been a lot of talk about like truth decay and how do we know anything to be true? There's your facts and my facts. There's red facts and blue facts. There's Fox facts and CNN facts. I certainly don't believe that. I think there's just facts. And perhaps I'm old-fashioned in that way. One of the great things about doing history is that you do have the advantages of some perspective. Some time has passed, and you don't necessarily view it through the lens of any particular political persuasion or any biases that you may have. You're able to be more and more objective the deeper you go back into history, I think.
What are the lessons for us for today from this battle?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of takeaways. I think one of them is we need to pay more attention to what the field commanders are saying. The guys who are on the ground, who are seeing the battlefield for what it is and what's needed and what's about to happen, and pay attention to what they're saying. And this is a classic case of a top-down structure where General MacArthur was running the battle from Tokyo.
Yeah, he never spent a night in Korea.
He never spent a night in Korea, which is unbelievable. Classic absentee general. He got the intelligence from the field commanders, and he chose to ignore it because it didn't fit with what he really wanted to be true. By this point in his career, he was a bit, I'd say, delusional. He had surrounded himself with a bunch of sycophants who just told him what he wanted to hear. So anyway, that's certainly one of the takeaways. Listen to the field commanders, pay attention to what they're seeing. A second takeaway certainly is the absolute importance of diplomacy, because this is a battle that could very easily have been avoided if we had had any sort of diplomatic channels with China. But Mao had just won his civil war. We didn't recognize him as the legitimate leader of the most populous nation on earth. They were sending us all kinds of signals that they were going to intervene in this war. And we chose to ignore those signals because we didn't have proper diplomatic conversation going on. So it becomes this kind of classic story of old men sending young men to die in the mountains in a war because the old guys wouldn't do the hard work, the messy work of diplomacy.
Hampton Sides, thank you so much for
yeah,
joining
it's
us.
a pleasure to be with you guys.